welcome to the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast Studios, where father and son talk about all things voiceover and a little bit more. This is our Todd's Tips video. This is where Dad, of course, who's been in the voiceover world for 13 years, talks to us about what he's learned through trial and error.
Yeah.
A lot of...
Yep. Some successes and some failures, as you always do when you endeavor to have any kind of business.
And just a reminder that these are all things that he teaches me, his son, who's gone through 2 full years of voiceover and is starting his 3rd year. So these are things that I don't think he would just, I've said this before, but you can probably listen to them because he wouldn't be giving me different advice that he'd be giving you.
And one of the reasons that we're doing this, if you haven't heard this before, is Hudson started out in voiceover a couple of years ago, and we just said, why don't we get in front of the camera, the microphones, and let's just watch his journey and watch...
I've had a long journey.
Yeah, what I'm telling him as I've gone through a journey of now in my 13th year, and just seeing how we recreate that with another person. And so we're riding the ups and downs of starting a brand new business, and together, you know, kind of working at pushing that boulder up the hill, but we're chronicling it, the journey. We're chronicling the journey here from start to finish. And there are some tough days, as you well know, if you've started a business, any kind of business, but a voiceover business where you sit in a booth all day long and talk to yourself, or in some cases you don't have work, so you don't talk to yourself, and then that's even tougher sometimes. But that's the reason that we started these podcasts. It was your idea,
to be a place for people to come and listen to us talk, and maybe be able to ask questions, stuff like that, so that you cannot feel alone. So.
Yeah.
If you ever have any questions, we're here to help. Maybe we won't even be able to answer them that well, but we'll just be somebody you can vent to. Anyway.
And I can point you, or we can point you in the direction of especially one coach who we appreciate and trust and respect. And
all of his information is in the description.
There you go.
So
we've been under Todd's Tips, as if you've been joining us. That's kind of the umbrella. That's the name of this part of the information stuff that we send out to you. But underneath that umbrella of Todd's Tips is a subfolder that we've been working on for a few months called Do's and Don'ts. Todd's Do's and Don'ts.
They sure are.
And so every single week, as promised, we always put these caveats. Our audio visual producer, Demond, we have these caveats so that you don't feel some sort of emotion or pressure to do exactly what I do. When I tell you these do's and don'ts, I want you to stop and think and evaluate and apply them to your particular situation. Because as you can see by these caveats, I'm different than you are. But there's enough sameness in running a business and being a solopreneur that these are things to think about, because there's just some things that across the board are true. You just have to take those principles and apply them to your situation. So today I am doing a do. I do tire of those in the VO industry who claim to speak for the VO industry. I tire of those in the VO industry who claim to speak for the VO industry. Now, some of you have been watching and probably go, oh no, you say, here's Todd haranguing VO coaches again, or industry experts. Well, call it what you may, but I do get tired of people who seem to consider themselves the Moseses of voiceover, come down from the mountain with stone tablets written by the finger of the VO god. They talk about industry standards. They talk about this is good for the industry. They proclaim this is bad for the industry. They pontificate, if you don't charge industry standard rates, then you aren't a team player, or you're selfish. And they say even bigger things than that. They kind of get in your face, and they can be quite intimidating. People that come off very strongly and say that they're experts and say that they speak for the industry. Well, 2 things. Who determines industry standards. Have you ever thought about that? Just take a step back and say, okay, let's take rates, for example. Who determines that? I know that there's surveys, like for instance, there's the GVAA rate guide, there's the SAG-AFTRA union, and I know those have been established for years, and there's lots of people that say they swear by those things. And they did research, and they came up with those rates. But who says that those have to be the industry rates? That's still just a human being or a group of human beings that have said, this is what we think is a good rate. I'm part of the industry, and I don't abide by those standards. Call me selfish. Call me, not a team player. I've been in this for 13 years. And by the way, I know a lot of people that don't abide by those standards. Again, put us in a group, excoriate us, do what you want to do, and blackball us, whatever. But that's one thing. Who determines industry standards? Second of all, I'm very, very, very leery of industry experts who use that kind of language, especially when they turn around just after laying people low who don't follow the industry standards. And sometimes they even call them out by name, and they call them names. And then they sell you something. That's what kind of drives me crazy. They put everybody down, say, these are the industry standards. You got to do it our way. Now, can I sell you something? In the words of Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show, now that's where you cheapen yourself.
Oh, no, Andy, don't try to laugh your way out of this. That's where you cheapen yourself.
Warning, do what you want. It's your business. Do what you want. Listen to who you want. But for me, I'm always careful to vet very carefully those people who say that they speak for the industry. I want to know some things about them, namely how long they've been in the business, how successful have they been? That is, how much money have they made? How much money have they, if they're coaching, how much money have their students made? How are they doing? Those are the types of things that I want to know if somebody is speaking as an industry expert. So, some things to think about. Again, I'm not trying to be controversial. All I'm trying to do is, there seems to be this large river of flow that says this is how you have to do things. And if you don't do things this way, you're either not going to be successful, you're going to be blackballed, you're not a good person. And I think, well, all I do is stand at the riverbank of this big flood and say, I wonder if that's all it's chalked up to be. I wonder if they really know what they're talking about. So that's why I do tire of those in the VO industry who claim to speak for the VO industry. Be very careful when you either speak for the VO industry or you listen to them. I don't claim to speak for the VO industry. I actually don't really sometimes feel like I'm a part of the VO industry, even though I am. I sometimes don't feel like I fit. So anyway, some thoughts for you to ponder. Any thoughts that you have? I said a lot there.
No, I don't think I really, those are just
maybe too much.
As always, it's just, no, like you said, you're not necessarily, I think you're just giving people a lens to see through and questions to ask when they're getting into something, because there can be some excitement, but there can also be some slowing down that needs to happen when you're choosing who you're going to listen to, because that's your hard-earned dollar that you're giving
and
to
your career path.
And your career path. Yep. Yeah. Future dollars that you're giving to them. Just be careful.
Be careful.
And that doesn't mean that the person that you're picking isn't the wrong person. Mm-hmm. Just make sure that you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great people out there, a lot of sincere people. Mm-hmm. Just be careful. When you hear those types of things, then just perk up your ears a little bit, get out of the river that's flowing in a certain way, and just take a step back and just evaluate. You might choose to jump in, and that's fine. It's your money, it's your career choice. But what I choose to do is just take a step back and say, what's practical here? What's smart business-wise? And so those are the types of things that I think about.
Well, thanks for that.
Yep.
If you guys want to see more content like that, you can comment, of course. You can also subscribe and hit the bell notification. That'll do the most for you so you don't miss a single video that we do, because you're probably not going to want to miss one. I mean, these are just the greatest ever. Anyway, next up, thank you for watching. Next up, we've got our numbers. You can see how I did this week, see how Dad did, and then how VOMP did, our direct email marketing business. So we'll see you there.